Very good, you came on board.
Okay, so let's see what's happening now.
Go say hi. Say hi.
Hi, Rabbi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, Baruch Hashem. How's everyone there?
Good. All good.
Very good. Okay, so basically like this. In this week's Parashat, we're going to find something very, very interesting. Imagine right now, if I were to tell you that we would have the Gadol Ador. Let's go back to Rav Ovadia Yosef. And I'm going to tell you, listen, we have Rav Ovadia Yosef with us. He's the Posek Ador, the Gadol Ador. We're going to always ask him all our questions. We're going to ask him advice. We're going to get his berachot and everything that you want. Now, what happens all of a sudden is that while we are doing this, right, we all of a sudden have something which is called that he is told that he might actually die if this is going to occur. Meaning, let's just pretend we're going to take over Gaza or we're going to annex, parts of Judea or whatever you want. What's going to happen? What would you do in such a scenario? If you knew, right, that this is going to happen, what would you do?
If we take over Gaza, the Rabbi Ovadia, like a Gadol Ador, will pass away.
Exactly. Or we don't take it over right away. Let's just wait. And then whenever it comes out, then that's when we'll do it. What would you think? What would you do in such a scenario?
I think, well, depends on what, the example that you're giving, I don't know, can you do it anywhere else? Because when you're talking about Gaza, that's our land. So it's different.
Okay, fine. So let's say like this. Right now, Hashem tells the Gadol Ador, listen, I want you to tell America that they have to come and they have to bomb out China. And if they do that, he's going to pass away. Would you do that right away? Would you come and give the signal, the green light, and push the red button for all the missiles and everything to take off? Or would you maybe just wait a little bit and say, listen, why not enjoy the Gadol Ador for another few minutes, or another few years? What would you do?
In that case, I would. Gaza.
Yeah, that's why he mentioned China. Right. So I would do what Hashem told me to do.
Yeah? Okay, very good. So put it this way. A lot of us might have thought that we don't want Moshe Rabbenu to pass away. Imagine Moshe Rabbenu is our spiritual leader. We know that with change, a lot of things change as well, which means that there is a lot of bad things which could happen, right? We always pray for a change sometimes, but we don't realize that sometimes it could get worse. I remember when I was in Venezuela, everyone was praying that Chavez should die or something should happen to him, and then they get somebody else. And then what happens? Era más Maduro o más Maduro, whichever one you want to say, but it was worse. So therefore, you understand, what are you asking for? What are you asking for? It became even worse, correct? So therefore, what happens? Maybe we would have said, you know what? Let's just wait a little bit. We don't have nothing to lose. Well, we have to do it today. Imagine right now we're going to let China live for another 10 years. What, is it going to be that bad? So let them wait another 10 years and then let's start. Then let's take over. Let's do something. But if we're going to take it now to the other standpoint, what would a Moshe Rabbenu do in such a case? Because I understand the people have a dilemma, and maybe I would say like Jimmy, you know what? Let me do whatever Hashem wants me to do, and then that's it. But let's say a Moshe Rabbenu himself. Imagine somebody's going to tell someone, because I don't want to say who, right? Somebody's going to tell someone, listen, if you do right now this, you're going to lose all your money in the stock market, you're going to buy this, you're going to finish this, you finish your mission, and Kaddish, goodbye. Wouldn't we try to stall? Wouldn't we try to stop and say, you know what? Okay, fine, Hashem, but it's not that urgent. No, I'm saying you can wait a little bit. No, we want to live out another few years. So why don't we just wait another few years and then we'll do it? What would you say about a Moshe Rabbenu?
He said immediately, go and do it now.
Already know who Moshe Rabbenu is.
Like David Amelech, when they used to sing that they want him to die because he's old, because they knew once he dies, the temple would start, and he was happy to hear that. He wasn't like, why you want me to die if the temple, you know what I mean?
100%. Chazak Baruch, you did it with you banged the nail on the head. However, though, there was a leader, and if I remember correctly, even though I would have to look it up, so don't quote me on this, but if I remember, I think Yoshua took his time and he didn't do it immediately. And it was actually spoken about because of this. But basically what happened is that, and this is how we're going to start the shiur, there was once an Irguna Varachim. Everyone heard of Varachim. Varachim is a very famous, but they get people to do teshuvah. Now, how do they do it? They're very, very smart, right? You have to think like an Israeli, right? So what do? They come and they make seminars and everything's free. So the second that you say it's free, they all come, right? Why? It's free. You get a free weekend in a hotel, a free weekend full of meals, right? Food galore. Who wouldn't come? You understand? What? Am I a friar? I'm not gonna come to get something for free. Who doesn't get something? If they're crazy. So what happens? Arachim, they come and they do this. And there was a family there. And what happened was they started changing their lives from one mamash, two extremes. And all of a sudden, they came to the roughest question that they had to go and they had to ask the Gdolei Ador. What was one of the hardest questions that Arachim came to? The question was, they had to ask a Dayan. They went and they said, 1 second. We have a person that he's married, and they were married for I don't know how many years, not religious, and now they're coming to do teshuvah and teshuvah and teshuvah and teshuvah. And then they realize that they have a very technical, very difficult problem. What's the problem? He is a Kohen, and she is already a divorced woman. Which means that a Kohen is not allowed to get married to a divorced woman. Which ultimately means that what's going to happen is that they would actually come and they would have to get divorced. The question is, do we tell them that or not? So imagine right now, right, such a question. Imagine such a question being asked right to your doorstep, right? What would he answer? You understand? Because it's an incredible question. So you know what happened? They went to the Dayan, and the Dayan went and he asked them, he says, okay, fine, but what's going to happen if Be'emet I have to tell you that you guys have to get divorced? What's going to happen? That was the question. Do you know what they answered? The woman answered, we thought about this a lot, and if Kvod Dayanim are going to be posek that, so then that's the Ratzon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what Hashem wants. And even though it's very difficult and it's going to be painful and the sorrow and that we won't be able to live with it, but we have to do it. But there's one thing which is so difficult for us to do. You know what was so difficult for us to do? He says what's so difficult for us to do is that how are we going to withstand with the Hillul Hashem that's going to happen in the family and everybody surrounding us? Did you hear what I just said? What's going to happen with the Hillul Hashem? Why? Because while they were Chilonim, they were happily married, happily ever after. And all of a sudden now, because they become religious, they have to get divorced? How does that go? How do people understand that? So because of that, she said, how are we going to live with the Hillul Hashem? The Dayan started crying. And he says, the following. He says, wow, you know what it is that here, it could be we're going to divorce a couple. And the only thing that they're worried about is crying because of the Hillul Hashem? Crying because the name of Hashem was desecrated? Do you know, I was asked the other day to do with divorce, right? And afterwards I saw that, I don't remember who it was that they said it. And they said, anybody that thinks about divorce and they come and they say, you know what, let's start working about Shalom Bayit and let's start working about this and working about that. The Mizbeach is Morid Dimaot Alav. The Mizbeach, the altar is coming and crying when a person comes and they get divorced. He says, we're not going to cry? And that's why it was so powerful in their eyes. So the rabbi, the Dayan, comes and he says, look at this. Mitzad halachad, it could be that they're obligated to get divorced because he's a Kohen and she's divorced. They can't get married together. But they're not worried about separating, even though they get along and they have all the happiest thing in their lives. No. You know what the biggest problem is? The Hillul Hashem. So what happened was, right, is the Dayan answered, listen to this. He answered, you should know when you act according to the halacha, there's no problem of Hillul Hashem. Because acting according to the halacha, that is a Kiddush Hashem. And therefore it's not a Hillul Hashem. That's what the Dayan answered them. Now, the bad part about this story is that I don't know the ending. Which means that I'm going to keep you in suspense, but I don't know how long.
Diana, my question is, all the Hilonim would start saying, you see, they became religious and that doesn't create, that's quote unquote like a kind of a Hillul Hashem, no?
So that was the question that she asked. She was basically hurting, not because now she has to get divorced.
I know.
She said, if this is what Hashem wants, so be it. It is what it is. That's Hashem's will. You know, many times people come and they say it is what it is, and it's on their choice. So then it's not it is what it is. You had the choice. It's not it is what it is. You say it is what it is when Hashem's the one that's deciding it, not when I'm the one that's deciding it. I'm going to wake up late. It is what it is. Well, it is what it is. You're a human being. You have a choice. No, it is what it is.
I don't know. Yeah, but the tricky part is Hashem knew that this was going to happen. So why he let that happen? You know?
So I'm going to answer you with what we mentioned. I think it was last week. If not, then it was another shiur on 2 weeks ago, Parashat. On Balak, it's written that if you remember, I think we did actually speak about it. Do you remember when we spoke about Bilam, that he was a non-Jewish prophet, and he asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu, listen, I want to go curse the Jewish nation. Hashem tells him, no. He asks him a second time, no. So, and finally, Hashem goes, okay, go, but you have to say whatever I tell you, right? So everyone asks, 1 second, I don't understand you. Right, what's going on? And the answer is the Gemara brings down in Mase'e Matot, B'derech she'adam rotzeh lelech, ba malichin oto. Wherever you want to go, that's the path that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will lead you. Which means a person will come, he'll take a gun and shoot somebody in the head. He says, listen, Hashem wanted me to kill him, but I killed him. It doesn't work like that. You have free choice, and you're able to do it. You understand? Why did Hashem let that happen? You're right. That's different things that we don't understand, all the different things about why does Hashem let certain things happen, because maybe it was destined to be 100%, but not because it happened, this is what he wants. You understand? He doesn't want that. Hashem doesn't want a world full of murderers, full of infidelity and immorality, full of drugs, he doesn't want all these things. But at the end of the day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu left a free world to live, and we are the ones that make those choices. And since we are the ones that make those choices, it doesn't exist for us to come and say, you know what, it's A, B, and C. No. You have the choice to do what you want. What did you want to ask, Goldie?
You're right 100% that Hashem, like, we have choices, but at the end of the day, like, Hashem will do things that is so out of our choice and our control and of what, like, we, like, thought we even wanted. Like, now, like, you're able to see it, but, like, at that moment, you're like, this is so out of my control. Like, literally, it was nothing, like...
100% that certain times the HaKadosh Baruch Hu will do things out of our control. However, though, we always have a choice to react accordingly. You could have two different people watching the exact same story, and they will act completely different. I still remember now, you reminded me of an incredible story that happened with somebody that he was religious and he went off the path. And when he went off the path, right, this happened many, many years later, right, that what happened was he went and he told this rabbi, yeah, but Rabbi, do you know I was also religious once? So he said, really? He said, yes. So he said, what happened exactly? So he said, no, this is a story that happened. He said, right, they were in the Holocaust. And there was one person that he was able to sneak in a sidur to the Holocaust. Can you believe that people used to come and give him the rations of their food, part of their food that they had, in order to pay him, in order to use the sidur? He said, when I saw that another Jew could come and charge me in order to use a sidur to pray to God, you think that that's what I want as a God? You think that that's what I want to come and see? The rabbi comes and he tells him, you were in this camp? The guy's shocked. And he said, yes, why? He says, because you should know, I was also there. And I was one of those people that were paying him to use his Siddur. So he said, what's the difference though between me and you? He says, you know what the difference is? You are looking at that person, how's he charging in order for someone to use a Siddur, coming to use the last rations of food what they have in order to use a Siddur. I looked at the exact same story, Mi kamecha ki Israel. Who is like your nation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu? That even if they're suffering and they have nothing, they're willing to give of the last of everything that they have to come and to pray to you because they know that you're the true God. They know that you are the Almighty. They know that no matter what's going to happen, you are the one that's going to save them. And therefore, what took me out and gave me strength was what actually was your downfall. Because in every single scenario that a person is in, there's always two sides to the coin. I could look at it and say, what is this? What a Hillul Hashem. How could this be? Do you know they say the exact same concept about dirt on Shabbat? Imagine right now I get dirty here. So say, listen, I should clean it. Why? It's not called a Shabbat. Say that a lot of Chachamim, no. Asur to clean it. And don't even change you. Don't even change your shirt. Said, why not? It's the kavod of the Shabbat that you're dirty. Why? Because everyone knows very well that if it wasn't for Shabbat, you would clean your shirt. And it's only because you want to keep the Shabbat that you're keeping your shirt like that, to show you that Shabbat overcomes what your importance of your keeping your shirt clean does. And that's the biggest Kiddush Hashem. And the exact same thing was what the Dayan was trying to teach this couple. He says, if you live a life, al pi Kiddush Hashem, that is the biggest Kiddush Hashem. If you're willing to come and give up everything that you have, even the marriage that is so strong, if you're able to do so, that shows that fulfilling the will of Hashem is actually much more powerful than everything else that you have in this world. That is the biggest Kiddush Hashem. It's not a Hillul Hashem, but you're doing what Hashem wants from you. So that is a Kiddush Hashem. Well, people are going to come and they're going to say, look at this. This is what they think. They're Jewish. Look, they have these long things over here, or they have these long tails sticking out from all four sides. Or it's not a Hillul Hashem. Hillul Hashem means that they come and they say, wow, you don't do the same thing? Imagine right now you come and you see an Arab outside, just in the middle of the street, put out a carpet, take off his shoes and start praying. You say that's a Hillul Hashem? That's not a Hillul Hashem. That shows you that he doesn't care nothing about anyone. He only cares about one thing. Allah. Allah Akbar. Yeah, don't worry, I'm not going to blow up. Yeah? It's Allah. That's the only thing. So we have to take it from them. Why are we embarrassed? I still remember my Rosh Yeshiva, Alav Shalom. He once told us this. He said it's incredible to happen that he once saw this with his own eyes. He said in the olden days, if you wanted to say Amidah and you're in the airport, what do? Right? You go to the telephone booth. Right? You pick up the telephone in the telephone booth and you start. Hashem Sefadai Tiftach Yagiti Latecha. You know, some people, they shackle, so they start moving back and forth. Other people, they're all straight. And they start talking to Hashem on the telephone. Yeah, until finally the phone rings or something, you know, like something, you know, it's like you're talking on the telephone. He said he once saw this with his own eyes, and then he saw how the Arab comes, right, and just puts down the thing and just in the middle of the airport, here it is, and he starts praying. He said that in itself showed you that we are lacking somewhere. That in itself showed you, why are we embarrassed to serve God? Why are we embarrassed to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So he said that gave him the courage that every single time he was in the airport, he would ask them for a private room or a private lounge to pray. He would ask the airport officials, and wherever it was, give me a room. I would like to pray. Prayers. And it was incredible. But why was it so important? To show you, why are we going to be embarrassed of doing this? If we're doing something wrong, you better be embarrassed. That's 100%. You understand? But if we're doing something right, why are we going to be embarrassed? We're serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Where's the embarrassment? You understand? So here, in essence, what was actually the main concept behind everything was the concept that Moshe Rabbenu was only worried about one thing and one thing only, Hillul Hashem. That was the only thing he was worried about in life. How do we see that? Because immediately, right, the entire concept that happened with all of Bnei Israel was what? was the entire concept of Hillul Hashem. What happened? All of a sudden, Moshe Rabbenu, what? I'm going to wait? Look at the Hillul Hashem that these guys did. They came, they caused Bnei Yisrael to sin with immorality. Remember, right? Infidelity, immorality, what it is to go with other women, that is the worst Avirah in Hashem's eyes. That's why he caused the plague of 24,000 people die. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes Moshe Rabbenu and he says, you think I'm going to keep quiet? You think I'm going to wait one more minute that there's an extra Hillul Hashem? I have to run and I'm going to kill them all out. Send them out. He's going to die the next day? That's not his problem. Hillul Hashem. How could it be that it's going to happen? And where do you see the success behind everything? You know where the success behind everything is, right? Imagine right now you're going to have people going out to war. And after so many people going out to war, they killed the enemy lines. They killed their leader, right? Imagine they killed this, I forgot what the guy's name is in Iran. The Manjara, I forgot the guy's name. It was basically the
Ahmadinejad.
Ahmadinejad or something like that. Basically, like he's the religious leader. They killed him out. They killed out everybody there. So they killed out Bilam ben Meor. Not one Jew was killed. You know what that means, going to war and not having one Jew fall in the lines? So where exactly, how did it happen? What happened exactly, right, that they were able to come and do this? What exactly happened? Do you know what Chachamim say? The secret behind their success is that these people were tzaddikim. Why? Because it says, anashim, people for the army. Who are these people? Tzaddikim. How do we know that they're tzaddikim? It says, you know why they were tzaddikim? It says, Rashi, we learn it from a pasuk in Shira Shinim, where it says, Shinaich ke'eder rechelim, she'alu man yaneksa, shekulam dam shekulam bahem. Just like this Rachel is sinua, so too the word sinuim. What exactly does that mean? They never spoke between the tefillin shel Rashi, the tefillin shel Rosh, and the tefillin shel Yad. We know when we put on tefillin, you first put on tefillin shel Yad, and then you're not allowed to make afsek, you're not allowed to talk. And then you put on the tefillin shel Rosh. They never spoke. What does that have to do with anything? Imagine, how many of us do we speak in between putting on tefillin shel Rosh, tefillin shel Yad? So what, because of that, they're going to come and they're going to win the battle, that not one Jew is going to fall? What does that mean exactly? Right? Why? What exactly is going on? So, do you guys have any thoughts?
Oh, no, we will do it. I know that with King David, when he used to get his warriors, there were like three conditions, like you cannot be married there within the first year, you cannot have a vineyard.
Right, no, but those are people that come back from the army, meaning that if you have these three conditions, you come back and you don't go out to war. Here we're talking about that they were all tzaddikim, that they never spoke between tefillin shel Yad and tefillin shel Rosh. If you ask in our Bet Knesset, I think the majority of people are like that, no? If not, I would like to say 100%. If not even 100%, for sure, accidentally, maybe it could slip. But knowingly, I would say 100%. Let's say even 90%. If they're already in the Bet Knesset, you understand? Hopefully, you understand. But what is that?
The big, what that made them big tzaddikim?
So what's the hidden message behind not speaking, like for the tefillin shel Rosh, tefillin shel Yad? So Kan Chachamim, and they say like this. So Rachaim HaKadosh comes, and he says by the Ira Nidachat, V'natan lecha rachamim v'richamecha. What does that mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you rachamim. He gives you mercy, and he's going to have mercy on you. Why? Nature is that if you're going to go and under such circumstances kill men, women, and children of a city because they did avodah zarah, you are going to become cruel. And it's known. Even nowadays, you have people that they're like the murderers. But there was the Nazis, or all these things. They lost their sense of a human being. They lost their sense of anything. So they became cruel. They became murderers. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he says, "V'natan lecha Hashem rachamim." HaKadosh Baruch Hu against the nature will come and he'll give you mercy. Which means even though you're going to go and you're going to do something cruel, it won't have an effect on you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will come and he'll give you mercy. Why? But at the end of the day, you're doing it against your will. They didn't want to go. They don't want to go. Do you want to go out to war knowing you're going to be killing people? You don't want to go. You prefer not to. Look what it was, Yaakov Avinu, how much he was worried that he didn't want to kill, whether it's Esav or the people with Esav. But what's the concept, though, between Tefillin Shel Yad and Tefillin Shel Rosh? You know what the concept is? Tefillin Shel Yad is before the Tefillin Shel Rosh, because we know that we said Naaseh v'nishma. Naaseh is with our hands. Nishma is with our hearts, right? We're going to listen, right? Naaseh v'nishma. What does that mean? We have to subjugate. What do we put on Tefillin Shel Yad and Tefillin Shel Rosh? We are subjugating our heart, which the hand is right opposite of our heart, and we're subjugating our mind to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, our head. So therefore, what exactly are we trying to do? What we are trying to do is that we are actually trying to tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu that the general rule in Judaism is that we will always do the Naaseh before the Nishma. Because the Nishma is not pushed off because of Naaseh, which means that it always depends on who's the one that's commanding. To do with Milcheme Midyan, to do with the war of Midyan, where there was a mitzvah to kill everybody. So Bnei Israel could have said, you know what, we don't want to go out to war. We don't want to kill people. And if they would have put their Tefillin Shel Rosh before the Tefillin Shel Yad, meaning if they would have thought with their head, before taking action, before using their hands, they would have lost. They wouldn't have gone. So what is it? Because Bnei Israel listened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they didn't speak, they didn't make this connection between the Yad and the Rosh, which means that Hashem tells you to do something, you run to do it. Because they did that, not one Jew died. Because if you're doing things Hashem Shamayim, you're doing things from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you will always win. There's no such thing that you will lose. And that's why they listened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even without saying the Naaseh. They went right away. Naaseh. Oh, where's the Nishma? Listen to what's going on. No. Immediately they went to do it. They didn't ask questions. Imagine Bnei Israel could have come and they could have said, you know what? 1 second, right? We have a good leader, right? We don't know who's going to be the next president. It might be somebody that's going to be, I don't know what. You know what? I think it's very important that we just calm down a little bit. Let's just wait a few weeks. Let us try to find out who will take over. Let's train them. Let's try to see what's going on. Bnei Israel, no questions asked. HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he tells us, do something. What do? Immediately we go run and do it. Naaseh v'nishma means we are subjugating our head and our hearts. And I think this is so important, especially nowadays. Why is it so important nowadays? You have to remember, what is the entire concept of the tefillin? The entire concept of tefillin is kiddusha, holiness. Why is it so important, the holiness? Imagine right now, we live in a world which is so mundane. We live in a world that everything is just so materialistic. Whether it is the Yetzer Hara for food, the Yetzer Hara for women, the Yetzer Hara for everything that we have around us. So what happens? What happens is that all of a sudden, when we're going to come and we are going to subjugate our hearts and our head only to Hashem, that is the biggest mitzvah that we're able to do. And that's how we do it. And that's the sign. Somebody, a goy, once asked, what do you guys have those things, these boxes? You're putting boxes all over your head. What are you putting boxes on your head? They say, you know what? The box is telling me that there's a God upstairs. The box is telling me that this head, this brain, is not mine. It belongs to Hashem. It's got the name of Hashem all over the place. I'm installing the box. It's like installing the hardware. I put it on me every single time and it installs hardware into the brain. And the hardware that it's installing inside is saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, my brain is yours. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, my heart is yours. It's not mine. Because if I would take it and I would use it the way that I want, I'm doing every Avirah in the book. But if I'm subjugating my heart and my brain to you, that's the biggest Kiddush Hashem that I could do. Moshe Rabbenu was 100% only worried about Kiddush Hashem and Hillul Hashem. Immediately, what does he do? He comes and he tells them, go take vengeance. Kill them all out. More than that, part of the Hillul Hashem, and this is actually another shiur which is incredible, is to do with anger. Do you know, it once happened with a very big rabbi that he was a dayan. And he was in a court case. And he comes and he tells the defendant and the two people, listen, this is the psak of the halakha. This is the halakha. So one of them, he didn't take it nicely. Say, I'm not going to listen to the rabbi. I disagree. I don't agree with you. I think you're wrong. So the rabbi comes very calmly, and he says like this. He says, by the way, you should know the following thing. He says, do you know that always, let me just make sure that I'm saying the story correctly. No, I don't have it here. Because I want to make sure that I don't get the story wrong. 1 second. I want to tell you the exact wordings that he used. Here it is, Kasm Stock. Here it is. This is the Rabbi Avraham Shalom of the Admor of Strokopov. So he comes and he says as follows, that it was said in front of, that they went in front of Rabbi Menachem Mendel Milinsk. So he comes and he says like this. He went and he said, you should know, when I became the rabbi, I brought with me a box. Right? This box, I have it up here in the storage. Right? The truth is, I think I should learn how to say this to my Balabatim, to the people of my community. Yeah, I think it might actually work then. So he says, I have this box, up here in the storage. And what happens? In that box, I have anger. He says, when I have to get angry for Kavod Shamayim, when I have to get angry for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I get up on the chair, I go up and I take the box and I take it out. And then I take some anger with me and I get angry. He says, if I'm going to get angry at you, you will not have a redemption. You will not have a refuah for your wound. And that you should know, well, which is in front of you. Imagine right now a rabbi coming and telling you that. Yeah? Powerful words. He says, if I'm going to have to get up from that box, you're finished. You're toast, as they say. Yeah, that's what he told him. Immediately the person, he agreed and he went off, and immediately he owed up to it. Remember that nowadays is a generation by the Mashiach. That's why it's chutzpah yaske, which means there's a lot of chutzpah. There's a lot of audacity, right? That the people are going to, nowadays they would say, Rabbi, get angry, enjoy yourself, or something like that. You understand? But in the olden days, they had a lot of respect for the rabbis. They trembled. Do you know that even in Morocco, the rabbis were able to put people in jail, right? A lot of times the rabbis would come, they had the full authority from the Arabs. There was no jokes. You're going to start up with a rabbi, boom, makot. It was nothing. You understand? It once happened with the Gaon of Vilna. I'll tell you this story, incredible, that it once happened. I forgot his name now. Mendelssohn, I think Mendelssohn, the head of the Reform movement, right? He went and he sent someone to the Gaon of Vilna to see who it is, to check him out. And he sent him to the Gaon of Vilna, and the Gaon of Vilna came and he told him, listen, ask me all your doubts. So he said, okay, fine. So question number 1. Said, okay, continue. So what's the answer? He says, no, when you finish, I'll tell you. Okay, no, but I have a long list. Continue. Okay, question number 2, 3, 4. It was like 60, 70 questions. Remember, this is the Reform movement. We're talking about with minds. Not just that I don't believe in God. Mamash, like that. You understand? So the person comes, he finishes all 60 questions, and then the Gaon says, you finished? He says, yes. He said, okay, fine. Question number 1, 16, and 58, they're all the same exact question, just with a little bit of a difference. This is the answer. Question. He answered every single question. The guy was like this. He never saw such a thing in his life. The Gaon of Vilna memorized every single question, knew every single answer, and in 2 seconds, he answered everything up. The guy was a moom. One thing, though, happened. The Gaon of Vilna said, yeah, but Rashi says that the word sason v'simcha is like this. The guy says, yeah, but that's just Rashi. The Gaon of Vilna kept quiet. In the afternoon, he came to Mincha in front of everybody. The shamash of the Gaon of Vilna comes and he starts giving him lashes. He says, you dare speak about Rashi like that? Rashi, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, that's how you speak to him about him? They gave him lashes and he left. Right? He left Mamash. He got back to Mendelssohn. He said, no, what happened? He said, no, I got the lashes. So what? He says, you should know one thing. Every lash was worth it just to see the face of the Gaon Mivilna. That's what he said. Just to see who was the Gaon Mivilna, all the lashes were worth it. But if somebody comes and they speak against, whether it's Rashi, the Gedolim, the rabbis, the Rabbanim, they would get immediately. Lashes, everything. They would just, they would be gone. You understand? It didn't exist. So anyway, but that was just the concept. So what happened? Moshe Rabbenu, after he comes and he sends them all to kill, right, the people of Midyan, and they come, they kill the people of Midyan, what happens? They come back. And then he gives them a Musar Shmuz of his life. You know what a Musar Shmuz is? Jimmy, you know what Musar is? Musar, ethics. He gave it to them on the head, palos. Yeah, he gave it to them. I love giving Musar. Ask the people in my Beit Knesset, right, left, and center. Musar, palos all the time. If you don't give palos, you never become straight. If not, you become bent. Yeah, that's the way it is.
I got it. All right.
No, I have somebody here that he loves palos, so he's just telling me that that I give it to him. Yeah, you have to give it to them. Why? What happened? Moshe Rabbenu comes and he gets angry and he tells them off. He says, I don't understand you. You only killed the men. What about the women? What about the women? You didn't kill the women. Now, what is Goldie going to tell me? What? They were sexist. They had a, you know what? Women's rights, equality, the opposite. If it's equality, you have to kill them as well. But that's not what it is. You know what it is? Moshe Rabbenu went and he said, 1 second. How do you understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to come and tell you, only kill the men, if it was the women that did the problem? As usual. Brackets. Put it in brackets. Yeah? Right? If the women did the problem.
You're recording, Rabbi. You're recording, remember?
Oh, let me put it on pause. 1 second. Okay. Yeah? What does that mean? He says, why? What's happening now is as follows. The women were the ones that they caused the Bnei Yisrael to sin. So what does it make sense that you're coming now and killing out the men? What did the men do? It was the women that caused them to sin. The women did the morality. The women caused them to sin with them. Then they came and they made them do Avodah Zarah. They made them do all these things. So why are you not going to kill the women? Moshe Rabbenu got upset. He got upset. And what happened? Immediately, he was supposed to tell them the halachot of how to do Hagalat Kelim, how to purify the utensils when you get it from a goy. Do you know what happened? He completely forgot the halachot. Completely forgot the halachot. Who continued with the halachot? Elazar. Elazar HaKohen, the son of Aaron HaKohen, he was the one that taught them the halachot. What's going on? Why? What happened exactly? Right, that Elazar HaKohen was the one that did it. And you know what Chachamim answer? That when a person gets angry, Chokhmato mistaleket emenu. His chokhmah goes away from them. And come Chachamim and they teach us such an incredible yesod, such an important yesod. Yesod is a fundamental concept behind of what we're doing. And they come and they teach us like this. They said, you know what they're teaching us? Right? They're teaching us that even though sometimes we are right in getting angry, but the getting angry in itself already has a negative effect on us. Which means Moshe Rabbenu in every single right, of course it got him angry. It was the biggest Hillul Hashem possible. He was saying, Ribono Shel Olam, what's going on here? I sent you on a mission and you didn't do the mission. Obviously I'm going to get upset, right? Obviously he's going to get upset at this. But he says, no. The concept though is, and this is again, what we're trying to actually understand is that even though in certain times we're supposed to get angry, we still have to be very, very careful because even with that, the getting angry always doesn't help us because at the end of the day, it goes to our detriment. Which means, and this is a good reason to get angry. And this is, by the way, connected to what we spoke about. If you remember, I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, I don't remember when it was, when we spoke about, tell me what gets you angry, I'm going to tell you who you are. This is another place for it.
How can you control it, Rabbi?
How can you what?
How can you control the anger?
How do you control your anger? It's a very good question. How do you control your anger? Well, I could ask your kids. I could tell them to behave. Right? That's one way of doing it. But no, the true way of controlling your anger is as follows. It is true that it's very difficult. But do you know that the Rambam says that there are two things that a person has to distance himself completely? Usually the Rambam is very liberal in the sense that he's always in the middle path. Shvila Zahav is Shvila Imtzai. the golden path is always the middle path. However, though, the Rambam says by two things we have to completely distance ourselves. That's gava, which is basically the entire concept of haughtiness. And number two, besides haughtiness, ka'as. Why exactly ka'as? Ka'as, because according to Shitat Rambam, which is getting angry, it means that we should never actually get angry. The way that we're supposed to do is we have to show that we're angry, but we're not really angry. I had a Rav that it was incredible that he always wanted to instill this in us. You know what he used to do? He used to scream at us like crazy, and then he used to start laughing. We thought he was crazy. So imagine, hey, what were you doing? And all of a sudden, you said, what's going on with this guy? This guy's lost it. You understand? Why did he do that? He did that to make sure that even if he thought he was getting angry, he's not angry. He's just showing he's angry. He has to show it. But really, Be'emet, he himself, he's not actually angry. And that's what he's trying to show the people. To show that you're angry, you have to show that you're angry. If you would educate a child and you would never show them that you're angry, that's not education. But you have to be very, very careful, though, that when you are going to come and you are going to get angry, it's not real anger. We once spoke about this. I don't remember which shiurim. It was very recently, though. That you remember we said that this once happened with, I think it's Rabbi Rafal Baruch Toledano. I don't remember who it was. They had to go and they had to smack one of their children. And then after smacking their children, they went and they cried. They started crying. And somebody, I don't remember who it was, they asked him, why are you crying? You just smacked your child. He should cry, not you. He said, no, because I'm crying for myself. Because at the end of the day, you have to be very, very cautious. How are you slapping? A child will understand if you're hitting them because of the action that they did or because of something that surrounds the action. Sometimes our child could do something, right? And it's in front of other people. And the reaction will be a completely different reaction than if we did it by themselves. Meaning I could come and I could be chutzpah against my parent. And chas v'shalom, I'll tell my father, let's say, you know, chas v'shalom, we would never hopefully do that, but some people, they come and they'll tell their parents, keep quiet, you understand? Or close your mouth, or something like that, you understand? But some people will do it. Obviously, Baruch Hashem, you know, we're Jews and religious Jews, so we don't do those things. But some people will do such a thing. So now if they're going to do it when they're privately with you, and then imagine doing it in front of your friends, what's going to be the reaction? If you react differently, the child internally understands that the reason why you hit them or you overreacted was because you were angry, not because they deserved the punishment. And that's a very important yesod, very important. And that, by the way, is not only just in education, that's also in Shalom Bait. Do you know, there was a whole question to do with when are you supposed to get angry at your spouse or not? And there was a famous story that happened with a woman that she came and she was asking her husband that he was an avrech, going to kolel and this and that. She asked him, listen, can you get me this and this and this from the grocery store? And then this from the bakery and this. And every single time, as usual, men are forgetful. We have other things on mind, right? We don't really pay attention. What? You have to make a list. Yeah, we have to make a list, 100%. We have to make a list and everything. So men are forgetful. And then what happens is we come back home. This is, are you sure you asked it? Yeah, look at the list. You see the list written there. What?
We're forgetful. We bring the wrong stuff.
Okay, no, sometimes it's either forgetful or the wrong stuff, but either or, right? So what happens? What happens is that after doing all these things, she comes and she says, and she blows up. So what does she tell you? You did this, and you did this, and you forgot our anniversary, and you forgot my birthday, and you didn't bring this, and you didn't bring that, and how could you forget this? And she starts with a long list, yeah? And after continuing the entire long list, right, you're like, well, what did I do? You understand? What's going on over here? And Kam Chachamim, they say as following. Was she right to get angry? And the answer is obviously, yes, right? Take it from a woman. Yes, of course she has to get angry. But how did she get angry was the problem. Why? If she would have gotten angry on the fact that he forgot the formula for the child, for the baby, the infant, and only about that because he forgot about it, she was 100% right and just, and 100%, you're right. The fact that she added baggage to the claims, right? That she started adding on, right? And this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and that's where she went wrong. That's where she went wrong. Why? Because now it wasn't exact. Now he realized that she's not angry at me because I forgot the milk. She's angry at me because she forgot the milk and another 20 things. Well, 1 second. I want to know what I did wrong. Don't tell me about another 20 things now. That we already answered it. And again, every single year we do teshuvah. Somebody once asked me, is Chas Shalom, is Hashem a woman? I said, why would you say Hashem is a woman? He said, very, very simple. Because you always have to ask for forgiveness a million times and they still remind you about it. So it's Keilu, every single year it comes to Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, and again, forgiveness. I asked last year already for this. Now I'm going to ask this again this year. What's going on? Women. No, but honey, I told you sorry 100 times already. I bought you afterwards this, I got you this, I got you. But you still forgot. And what, you brought it to me late. What's going on? Well, that's the way it is. So therefore, Kam Chachamim, they say, I went a little bit off topic. So he says like this. So Kam Chachamim, they say as follows. They say, what happens is that a person has to realize that no, really be'emet, anger sometimes is just and sometimes it's supposed to be there. But how do we get angry? How do we portray it? How do we give it over? Sometimes we're supposed to act or show that we're angry. But are we really supposed to be angry inside? No. And what's the biggest proof? Moshe Rabbenu. Moshe Rabbenu Adon HaNevi'im, right? He was the master of all prophets, the Gadol Ador. Everything that we have, nobody's like a Moshe Rabbenu. What happened? He got angry. Was he just? Of course he was justifiable in getting angry. He told Bnei Israel, kill out everything. Men, women, and all of a sudden they come back, they didn't kill the women. Obviously he's going to get angry. But what happened? What happens is that automatically he forgot the halakha. He needed Elazar to come and start teaching us halakha. Because at the end of the day, what happens is that if he got angry, automatically he's going to forget. There's a whole question why exactly. It's because that when we connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's chokhmah, so we are connecting to Hashem. The second that we get angry, we disconnect with Hashem, so then automatically we forget things. It's a whole thing there. Everything is connected. However, though, I'm not going to go that route. However, though, when we come back to what we started with the shiur today, it comes out now beautiful. Why? Moshe Rabbenu was only worried about one thing, and that thing was Hillul Hashem. His entire life, he was always telling, and by the way, you should know, that was his secret to success for forgiving us of the egel and many times. What was the secret? Immediately he went and he used to tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if you're going to destroy the nation, what are the goyim going to say? That he was only able to take us out of Yetziat Mitzrayim, but he wasn't able to take us into Eretz Yisrael? Or that he took us out of Mitzrayim, but then he had to kill us in the desert because he wasn't going to succeed bringing us in? And all the time was, what, Hashem can't do that? What are the goyim going to say? And it was the same thing. Because Moshe Rabbenu was always just saying about the Hillul Hashem. Moshe Rabbenu was only worried about one thing and one thing only. Hashem, not about himself, only about Hashem. So therefore for him, even though he's going to die the next day, you think that's going to worry him? Hashem comes and he tells me, I have to go and take vengeance. That's the first thing that I'm going to do. The last thing that we're going to finish off with today is also very connected, but very incredible, very powerful also, which just shows us the difference. This is actually really last week's parasha, but it's connected to this week's, because this is when they actually when it actually took place. HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he tells Moshe Rabbenu, Nekom nikmat bnei Israel met Midyanim. Go take vengeance for bnei Israel against the Midyanim. Ve'achar tiasef lamecha, and afterwards Moshe Rabbenu will pass away. Moshe Rabbenu doesn't say that to bnei Israel. He changes the words. He comes and he tells bnei Israel, Nekom nikmat Hashem met Midyanim. Go take vengeance for Hashem met Midyanim. What exactly was going on? Kam Chachamim, and they say, in every single avirah, or a lot of avirot, many times we have ben adam lechavero and ben adam lemakom. We have interpersonal relationships, and we have ben adam lemakom. For example, kibud avim, when we respect our parents. If we right now come and we disrespect our parents, we did two avirot, right? And that's why it's also on the first half, right? The connection between the first half and the second half of the luchot, right, is why? Because at the end of the day, They're both connected. What does that mean? When we come and we are going to disrespect our parents, we did two avirot. We disrespected our parents. So we have to ask them for forgiveness. And we have to ask Hashem for forgiveness that we disrespected our parents. And the same halacha applies even to Shalom Bayit. Right? When a person comes and they do something against their wife, it's not only against their wife or against their friend. They have to ask for forgiveness from their friend, but they have to ask for forgiveness from Hashem as well. If I come and I call you a name, I steal. I stole from you. So I have to do teshuvah to you, I have to do teshuvah to Hashem, right? To the one above and also to my friend, to both. Because it's two different averot. And many times they're connected. Because, for example, if I only did teshuvah from Hashem and not from the Bnei Israel, or not from my friend, many times it's not forgiven. If I called you names, and I come to Hashem in front of Kippur, and I'm crying, and Hashem, forgive me, but I didn't ask you for forgiveness, I'm not forgiven. There's nothing there. Hashem does not forgive me. So therefore, what's important to know? It's important to know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu came, and he told Moshe Rabbenu, tell Bnei Yisrael that they have to take vengeance for themselves. Why? Because 24,000 Jews died. There were 24,000 Jews in one shot. You know what 24,000 Jews in one shot is? We do mourning period of 33 days during the Sefirat HaOmer for 24,000 Jews. But it took 33 days. You understand? Here, it happened in one shot. In one shot, one moment. 24,000 people in one moment. Yeah? That's much worse than any type of a virus that kills, what are the numbers? But how many months? We're talking about in one moment. Yeah? What? An hour, whatever it is. Boom, 24,000 gone in one shot. And it would have continued if it would have been that Bnei Yisrael would have stopped it, that Pinchas didn't come and kill him. So what is it coming to teach us, though? Moshe Rabbenu was not worried about the vengeance of Bnei Yisrael. Hashem was worried about our vengeance. But Moshe Rabbenu was worried about the vengeance of Hashem. Because not only did 24,000 Jews die, but look how many Jews sinned. Look how many Jews did immorality. And therefore, for Moshe Rabbenu, he didn't tell Bnei Yisrael, go take vengeance for yourselves, because look how many people died. You know what he told them? Go take vengeance for Hashem. Look how many people sinned against HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then they went all running. Why? Because Rashi says, Gadola machtiyo yoter min haorgo. What does that mean? Many times in life, we don't realize this. But to cause someone else to sin is 20 times worse, not 20 times, 1,000,000 times worse than to actually kill them physically. Gadola machtiyo yoter min haorgo. And this is actually brought down in many different places. Why? Because we see it time and time again. Many times people will come and they say, yeah, but you know, he did this to me and he cheated me out and he did this and he did that. Ooh, you put them in cherem, you don't speak to them, you don't do this, as if, I don't know what. But the fact that he caused you to sin, you don't care about. But that's the exact opposite. Mitzad the Torah's perspective, it's the exact opposite. What do you mean by the opposite? Opposite means that really be'emet, the fact that we sinned is much worse. Because if a person comes and they cause a person to sin, he loses the next world. If he kills him physically, he loses this world, but he still has the next world. And that's why it's so important for us to understand this coming from this week's parasha, because again, it's all the same thing. Hillul Hashem is the concept. Why? Because if a person comes and they don't act properly, they could make a Hillul Hashem. Remember the story what we mentioned to do with this couple, that no matter how hard it was for them, that they knew that now it could be that they need to separate. I apologize that I was keeping you in suspense because I told you I don't know what the outcome was. I read the story. It was a beautiful story. It was actually very touching because it just shows you how it is that when people could actually do true teshuvah to the levels that they could get to. But what? But the most incredible part about it is that they didn't care anymore about themselves. Everything had to do with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That they got to such a high spiritual level that they realized this is Hashem's will. That's it. There's nothing more to do. But we have to make sure that there's always a Kiddush Hashem in our lives. So it's incumbent upon us to realize that Moshe Rabbenu's entire life was Kiddush Hashem. Do you know that there was one place where Moshe Rabbenu made a little tiny mistake according to his level, which made a Hillul Hashem, which cost him that he didn't go into Eretz Yisrael and build the Bet HaMikdash. But it says, Yan, right? Yan, if you would have been Makdishem Shamayim, and you wouldn't have done that, meaning you would have actually come and you would have actually taken it, but you would have spoken instead of hit, then you would have known. And do you know that that's what Chachamim actually say? Chachamim say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu purposely told him, take the stick, and he didn't want him to hit. He wanted him to speak. You know why? Because sometimes words, speech, has a much bigger effect than the whip. The whip, right? If I was actually going to take the whip now and start beating up Balabai because he doesn't come to Shachrit on time, it could be maybe it'll work a little bit. But it's Be'emet, you want to know what works more? The speech. The words. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Yan la emantem bi, since you didn't believe in me, lagdisheni, to come and to make a Kiddush Hashem, you made a Hillul Hashem, the fact that you didn't speak to the rock and you hit the rock, that's why you're not going into Eretz Yisrael. That was again because on his level, with such a minute little aspect, that he didn't do the Kiddush Hashem. Moshe Rabbeinu's entire life was Kiddush Hashem, to sanctify the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to always do the best, but that's how we see it. A person that's an Eved Hashem, a person that he's always a servant of Hashem, his entire life is based upon only one thing, and that's only one thing only. I want always to make a Kiddush Hashem Shamayim. I want to sanctify the name of Hashem. I want to become better. I want to become closer. What are people going to say about me? Because I don't want the people are going to say that, look how the Jews are acting. Look at this, look at that. That is our mission in life. And therefore, if we're going to utilize that, Bezrat Hashem, hopefully, Bezrat Hashem, the Kiddush Hashems, that's what's going to bring, the Mashiach Tzidkenu Yom Amen, and the Bet HaMikdash, and all the rest, Bezrat Hashem. Okay?
Please,